You guys have been asking and asking for a 1.9 Infinite pack ever since 1.9 was announced. Well, here it is. Huh. Hey guys, it's Finn, and welcome to the release of my Infinite 1.9 texture pack. Sorry for the delay on this, guys. I know you guys have been asking me like crazy for the updated 1.9 version of this pack. But instead of just doing a few things, just to make it compatible with 1.9, I wanted to go all out and make something really cool and unique. So hopefully that's what I've done here. So I'm going to get right into it and show you all the changes that I've done. Starting off with, hopefully you've noticed this 3D model in my hand here. The sword here is a brand new 3D model. I spent a lot of time learning how to make 3D models and make them work with 1.9. And that was really hard because, well, there's no tutorials on how to do anything for 1.9 yet. But needless to say, I got it all figured out. And as you can see, I have this awesome 3D model of a sword. I didn't want to go too crazy with the 3D models on this pack. I guess you could say I want to kind of go subtle, but yet still really cool. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the texture pack. First, let's start off with some of your main 1.9 items. As you can see, I have in my hand here the new shield. I couldn't make a new 3D model for this because then you couldn't put a banner on it, but I did make a texture for it. As you can see there, it sort of matches the infinite wood, and we can also click F to put it in our other slot, and as you can see by doing that, that is the other thing that I've added. Obviously, that little slot to the left there has a little 2 on it, and if I go in my inventory as well, I've also added that slot here, of course, and it again has a little 2, just to kind of indicate that it's your secondary slot as opposed to your primary slot. Instead of having a little shield there like in the default pack, I thought, well, you can really put anything there, so why make it a shield? So I did a little 2 there. I thought that made the most sense. So that's the shield. Let's just unequip that really quick. You can also see here I have my spectral arrows in my inventory. I textured all the arrows to sort of match the Infinite pack style because they've added a lot more cool types of arrows, like the poison arrows and the instant damage arrows and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's one of the things I added, as you can see here. I've also added the new end stuff, so all of the new end blocks and the chorus plant and flower and fruit and all that kind of stuff, as well as the new plants. As you can see over here, we have the beetroots. I textured those as well, and yeah, basically just every little thing that they added. They haven't added a whole lot as far as blocks and stuff go, but yeah, just the main things. I made a new ender dragon texture that looks super sick, as well as a few random textures like the beetroot soup here, and also the beetroots themselves. So yeah, other than the random 1.9 items here and there, I've gone ahead and added a ton of new 3D models that we'll get into right now. First off, as you can see here, the reeds have a nice 3D texture to them that I've added. Things like the pumpkins and stuff. Some of this you'll be used to from the 1.8 pack, such as like the bookshelves and everything. But I've added a ton more now that actually look really cool. As you can see, I've added the crafting table here. We have an awesome bed texture that I think is really cool. It's got a little a little head to the bed there with the pillow and all that kind of stuff. Also the enchantment table. Mostly what I've done with this as well is just made the textures look a lot nicer. Before there was sort of some random edges that didn't look very nice. A lot of anti-aliasing going on, just that kind of stuff. I put a lot of work into making everything look very clean and not too crazy, so it would like lag out your game. A lot of that kind of thing. So yeah, there's the enchanting table. It looks very nice. There's little diamonds in the corners. Also, I fixed the GUI for brewing potions. So as you can see here, it has this whole new section where you have to add the blaze powder in order to brew anything, and it adds this sort of thing right here. And then you can add your item to brew, and it just brews just like that. Moving right along here, you can see all of the 3D doors. Just sort of adds a little bit more texture to them, makes them sort of pop out a little bit more, which I think is pretty cool. Next, I spent a lot of time revamping the round log texture to actually work on 1.9. Basically, all models had to be overhauled to actually work on 1.9. That took me a long time to figure out, but especially the logs. The logs were a huge pain to actually get working, and I don't even know how I eventually ended up figuring it out. But needless to say, I got it working now, and it works even better before. There isn't that random sort of aliasing texture on the sides when you place blocks next to them. It works just fine now. And as you can see, I've done it for all of the different log textures. Speaking of the new log textures, I've also finished texturing all of the boats. Now all the boats match their corresponding wood textures, you know, like the birch boat, you know, spruce, oak, you know, jungle wood, all that stuff. Moving on to probably the biggest change of all that I've done here, the items. As I said, I've made a ton of 3D items, so let's just grab all of these like this to show these off. I made models for all the shovels, all the pickaxes, everything. And if we check these out here, you can just see they sort of have a slight outdent on all of them. I think it looks really nice and just really adds some depth to all the textures. Here's the pickaxes. Again, just sort of a subtle sort of outdent, a little bit of a 3D texture on them. And here's my favorite and probably the most important, the swords. Here's the diamond sword, the iron, the gold, the stone, and the wood. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but I think they turned out really, really nice. Same thing for the axes, so on and so forth. Next up, I've added some model to the bow. As you can see, the arrow sort of sticks off of the bow slightly, and I think it looks really, really nice. Same colored animation as before, but you know, the string is just a little bit indented, as well as, you know, the arrow, as you can see there. And lastly, one of the funner ones, the fishing rod. This one's kind of cool because I added quite a bit more detail to it maybe than the other ones. I tried to tone down in the detail just because I didn't want it to look like too crazy and busy and different. So mostly I tried to keep it quite subtle. But this one, you know, it's quite a bit different than the default fishing rod. But, you know, I thought I'd have a little fun with it. And that is pretty much it, guys. I'm sure there's some small textures that I'm forgetting, but that's generally the gist of it. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy the pack. And of course, as usual, there will be a download link in the description. And yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. Have fun on 1.9 with the pack, and we'll see you all later. Peace.